Well, it just gets set before I think everybody, welcome to tonight's Haverhill Town Council meeting. This is Monday the 18th of March. There we are, sorry about that. Before we start, I'd just like to say that please note that this meeting is being recorded by the Town Council and very possibly live streamed on YouTube. Please note that the recording device is sensitive and the live stream may be recorded by third parties. So do not say anything that you do not want recorded. If necessary, I will direct all recording in the room and the live stream to be stopped. But generally, I want to avoid doing that, so we will normally record everything except any item taken in closed session. Members of the public may also make their own recordings, but must follow our rules for doing so, including stopping when requested. Whilst we do not accept anonymous speaking at the public forum, members of the public who wish to speak but do not want their name published must please indicate this before saying your piece. Thank you. Okay, so moving on to item 1 on the agenda is apologies for absence.
There were no apologies for absence, we have a full house.
Good to hear. Item 2 is declarations of interest and requests for dispensations. So for members to declare any interest, they may have any items on the agenda and agree any dispensations to stay. So that's A, disclosable pecuniary interests, B, non-registrable interests, sorry, other registrable interests, C, non-registrable interests. Councillor Martin.
Can I declare a non-registrable interest in item 8, I think? Yes, item 8.
So,
yes.
you just wish to say, okay, so we've got a master's matters. So, can we have a proposal for dispensation to allow Councillor Martin to stay in Councillor Burns? I second Councillor Page. All those in favour? Thank you very much. That's carried.
Thank you.
Item 3 is the co-option of the vacant seat at Haverhill Town Westboard. So, as you know, under the local elections, parishes and communities rules 2006, we are able to co-opt to the vacant seat in the Haverhill Town West Ward. As you would have seen, we've got 2 applications for the role, 2 people we know very well, 2 very fine people, I must say. And it's up to us now to, if you like, have a discussion and then to vote on which of the 2 candidates we would like to take up that vacancy. So we don't need proposers or seconders because it's through application. So is there anybody that would like to say anything at all about other candidates or make any observations? Councillor Mason.
Thank you, Chair. The vacancy arose whether people choose to agree with the sentence that Councillor Marks expressed, but with a sense of dissatisfaction about how she had been treated, which was really unfortunate, Councillor Marks was elected for the ward as a Conservative, and the people had chosen not only just her, but her as a Conservative candidate. For me, I'm only one voice, but I respect the democratic will of the people above all else. And for me, it's a simple swap in, swap out. But it's actually even simpler than that. In her previous incarnation as a councillor, Paula Fox has represented the West Ward as a resident of the West Ward admirably. In fact, she's achieved a number of achievements for the West Ward. She led an excellent speed safety campaign with signs erected along the roads, designed by children, which was excellent engagement, and those were erected as a way to encourage drivers to slow down within the West Ward. Councillor Fox also did some excellent work on the Burton End and a scheme to slow drivers down on Burton End. She also instigated, not within the West Ward, and it's still yet to come to fruition, but a bus stop on Greenfields Way. Councillor Fox was passionate about the need for people to be able to get to, at the time, the Clemens surgery. That has been given a go-ahead. It was caught up in legal. I'm just now waiting for a date for delivery. There's nothing stopping that. Councillor Fox has an excellent reputation of delivery. And as the only candidate here tonight, and I have nothing bad to say against Councillor Stinchcombe, but tonight, the Democratic, the most suitable candidate that lives within that ward, who has previously served council, should consider for the election of this post. Thank you.
Just to correct you, they're not actually councillors, but they understand what you're saying. Councillor Andre.
I'd like to propose that we thank both people who are standing. They both have enviable records of public service, and it will be a disappointment for one or other of them. But we thank them for at least standing up and being counted.
Thank you. Councillor Hammond.
Yeah, I entirely agree with what Councillor Andre was saying. Both served the council when they've done it very, very well. Councillor Stitchcombe, he was involved heavily with GP crisis that we had at that particular time. And yes, people were saying that the GP is better now, but that was a crisis at that particular time. Not very well supported with the Conservative councillors, I'm afraid, which I don't think we should bring politics into it in any place.
You just brought politics in. You just brought politics into it.
Yeah, I'll say at that particular time, I don't think we should bring politics into this now. We respectfully listen to you, so please do not interrupt me. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's the, as I say, Councillor Stitchcombe, and it's not only that, we've got item 8 as well. He's involved, even though he wasn't a councillor, he was involved in item 8 as well, with Councillor Brown. He worked very hard for the council, so I believe that the council should vote for Councillor Stitchcombe. Thank you.
Councillor Brown.
Yeah, I'd like to echo what Roger said around the two terrific candidates that have done fantastic work for the town. I'll just say with Alan, you know, and this isn't about party politics, you know, this is town council, it's parish council, this is about people that are willing to step up and represent the community of Haverhill. We're all here, and party politics, you know, doesn't normally rear its head here, so you know, hopefully it won't tonight in this discussion. But what I would say is, you know, Alan has worked tremendously hard. I was quite disappointed he didn't stand last May. This has worked very hard on health issues for Haverhill. He's worked very hard on the ambulance side of things. I know I've worked with him. He's brilliant at statistics, etc. He also worked with Councillor Davidson during COVID around putting walks out for you know, people to you know, access the countryside, etc. He's a hard-working guy. I don't look at him as you know, Labour, Conservative, whatever. I just look at him as a you know, very good terrific human being, hard-working person. Yeah, so you know, it's two very strong candidates, and Paul's done terrific work as well. You have, but you know, I'm edging towards Alan because of his work, you know, with health. And to be fair, Margaret done tremendous work, you know, Haverhill Health, and we need someone who's really wised up on health to you know replace her. So you know, I think that you know, Alan would fit that bill.
Thank you. Councillor Jones.
Thank you. I was getting stressed out because I thought it was my turn to speak, and actually Tony said almost everything I was going to say, so that was perfect. I have never ceased to be amazed by Alan, by the amazing hard work he does. A great example is with the ambulance thing. I'm on that group as well. I was supposed to be on the ambulance visit. I had my car broke down, so I didn't make it there. And I was saying to a colleague earlier, I didn't even feel that it mattered that I didn't go because of the incredibly detailed report that Alan gave. He is so forensic in everything he does. He works so hard. and I think we're all agreed that we don't work in a party political way on this council at all. It's not like bigger councils, we all work together. The political party doesn't matter. What matters is the work that someone can do, and the work that Alan does is above and beyond anything that I could personally wish for. So I am thrilled at the prospect of having Alan back on the council, and I hope he wins.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? Councillor Cook.
I'd just like to say I agree with everything Councillor Mason has said. Paula is an excellent candidate, and it's a pleasure to see her again. People have raised party politics. Well, I know the result of the vote. I know the result of the vote because of party politics. Everybody's saying it doesn't matter, but I already know the result. So it does matter, doesn't it? It's a shame, but that's how it is. And lastly, the residents of Haverhill West elected a Conservative councillor. They voted for a Conservative councillor, and now people are forcing a Labour councillor on. I know it's the way it's done. It's all democratic. It's all above board. But I'm just saying they elected a Conservative councillor, and now they're having a Labour one. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. It's not unprecedented when somebody resigns that you don't automatically swap one with the same colour for another. In a few years back, an election was called when Colson was asked for. But anyway, we all work together for the town, and whatever ward it is, it doesn't matter what we help whatever ward they're in. So we work together as a whole. So whether they actually live in a ward is not necessarily relevant. Okay, so if nobody else has got any more comments on this, got this the vote, so alphabetical order. So first we've got, for those who would wish to see Paula Fox elected to the vacancy, please show your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 5. And those who want to see Alan Sitchcombe. That's 11. Sorry, 10. 10, sorry. 10. So that means that you got a vote. That means Alan Sitchcombe has been selected into the vacant role of Councillor for Haverhill West Ward. And if you'd like to come forward to sign the declaration.
Do I have to bring my own chair?
You got a chair.
Is that
Yeah.
honestly?
I'd just like to thank Paula for, as I say, putting yourself forward as well. I know you would have done a really good job. I hope you'll get to still be involved and put yourself forward again in the future. Okay, thanks, Paula. Okay, thank you very much. So moving on to item 5 then, the minutes of the meeting of the Town Council held on Monday the 19th of February 2024 to confirm that they are a true record. Opposed with that? Second. Adam, all those in favour? Carried.
Sorry, Chair, can I just, my name was spelled wrong, it's not Acox.
Sorry about that.
Right, okay, item 6 then is to note the progress of action arriving from minutes not covered by this agenda. So, if you could just run through the minutes, please, Tom. 101. There. Nothing there. None. No action considered. Is there anything you need to comment on this talk on?
No, well, that's been submitted. We're working on this.
Resolved. That's about it, I think. Yeah. Thank you very much. Item 7, reports from district. Sorry, yeah. Okay, as I was saying, item 7, reports from district and county councillors on issues pertinent to public forum. Hey, police reports. You'll see the usual Baker Street Road. Is there any commentary you'd like to add to that at all?
Only that those a bit late has been on social media. Jack Oakley, Peter Jack Oakley will be here tomorrow morning between 10 and 12, I believe, meeting any residents who have problems. And he's organising, which I think you're going to get an invite for, you and Liz, a event day on the Clements at some point. He asked me, but I said, thank to me, thank you. That was this afternoon, so you probably haven't got anything yet.
You know, we've got the PCC election coming up soon. At the recent PCC forum, we spoke about the appeal, which is basically inspectors reckon how well the constabulary is doing. There are significant room for improvement in certain parts, but that has been addressed. A lot of it is around the response times, support emergency and non-emergency calls, but that is being addressed. 7B then, it's county councillors. Councillor Mason, I think, would like to have his report put on the screen again.
Thank you, Chair. There's a couple of things I'd like to share with Town Council tonight, but I think it will be of interest, or it should be of interest. And I know that councillors from across the room have been calling out for a better service to the hospital. So item 1, it's been announced that there's going to be a reroute of a 14-15 service from Haverhill, so scrolling down there, it's in blue, from Haverhill to Bury St Edmunds to serve West Suffolk Hospital and to increase frequency. It's been very difficult for people to attend appointments at the hospital or to visit family and friends who may be at the hospital, and I'm pretty sure I've heard lots of councillors in this town council want a better bus service, and it would appear that this additional funding is going to deliver it. I am interested because previously Stevenson's had said that they couldn't navigate the bus around the hospital road system, so I would still like a little bit more information as to how now they are able to do that, or whether it's actually just going to be stopping outside on the main road. But even that would be preferable to what we've had previously, but it would be nice to have a little bit more information on what happens when the bus actually gets to the hospital. The other thing that I would like to pull out was item 3, which was...
So, did you want to make a comment on the... Sorry, yeah, sorry.
Thank you, Chair. I'm led to believe that the bus will be stopping outside. So, yes, I agree, it's a fantastic development, but not for them that have got to go up to the Macmillan part, etc., for those that are fairly disabled. So, it's not been clarified exactly, but that's our understanding.
Yeah, I'm going to seek further clarification on that, Councillor Davidson. It's better. Sure. It's an improvement. but from what I can remember about the road system, unless they do something to that road system, I think the buses struggle to navigate through those tight bends.
Thank you.
Okay, the other point that I would like to pull out of my meeting is the £10 million Urban Roads programme. Councillor Roach, who's present this evening, and myself saw the initial list. So £10 million spread across the county sounds like a lot of money, but when you spread it across the county, it's not as much as you would like. And Councillor Roach, Councillor Sower and myself, we lobbied hard to get as many roads. And in fact, there are roads on here such as I've forgotten the name of the road now. Clarendon Road, but Mr McDonough will be grateful, will be pleased to hear, who's been campaigning in the press. That is going to receive treatment, as indeed Norton, just across the road. Of course, everyone who goes to the surgery drives on that bit of road, which of course has been suffering with a concrete basin, but that is now going to get a long-awaited treatment. It's not every road. I'm disappointed. Councillor Luccarini, that I wasn't able to get Downs Crescent. I'll continue to lobby treatments for Down Crescent. Again, it's one of those concrete-based roads that seems to suffer dreadfully with those shallow potholes. But I hope the council will look at this and agree that actually that's not a bad return, and I've been told that Haverhill has actually got a favourable share of that £10 million that's been spread around Suffolk. This is only for the Cangle district. This is the list that has been provided for myself. I'm pretty sure that Councillor Roach, if you approach him, would be able to give you information at a later time. Other than that, something, I won't go through this because it is a public record, and I'm sure councillors have had a chance to have a read of that. The final thing that I'd like to say, I do like working collaboratively with councillors, and it isn't part of my councillor role, although there are some tenuous links with the fact that we have an Energy and Sustainability Committee. So I would like to say a special thanks to Councillor Tony Brown, who helped out on Litter Pig on Sunday, and it was a really nice bit of community engagement. So again, thank you, Councillor Brown, for your support.
Yeah. I'll just say come back.
Coming out
second. Yeah, just going to say it's not about. I mean, I went the second time I've sort of done that sort of stuff. People there go every week, and members of the community. So, so well done, Councillor Mason, for organising it. But so people there, often from the estates, are out there every week doing that. So no thanks. So yeah, it's great.
Councillor McCrenny.
Yeah, Norton Road, do you know if they'll reinstate both sets of giveaway lines? There's a lot of new misses where people go down to the doctor's surgery and just swing out right, not realising there's actually a housing estate on the left-hand side. The giveaway line that used to be there has now disappeared.
I will ask.
Thank you.
Can I just ask you, responsibility where residents are parking in illegal grass areas and then they're going across the park and dragging them out and making it dangerous pedestrian? Who would be the best person to?
Okay, I might defer this to Councillor Roach, who may have a bit more experience. My understanding is that it isn't necessarily a road traffic offence to park your car on a grass verge. There is a law regarding bumping curbs, which is a relatively low offence, but I find it most frustrating because as you drive into Haverhill from Bury St Edmunds, there's a number of vehicles that are parked on the grass verge, which doesn't make for a particularly nice view. But highways have told me that actually there's not particularly an awful lot that can be done about it. I intend to ask more questions and pursue this further because I consider it antisocial and somewhat frustrating. There is a bigger discussion to be had, may I say, regarding CPE generally. I have failed to succeed in getting the lay-by closed on the A117. Highway said that it was going to cost £80,000. West Suffolk still are refusing to, and this is historic, this is not this council, but going back years, still refusing to do CPE at night time. We have Halesbarn Road, antisocial parking along Housebarton Road. I think it's possibly a discussion for the Town Council at a later time about kind of lobbying West Suffolk Council so that we can have a drive around up to 10 o'clock in the evening so we can discourage some antisocial behaviour regarding CPE enforcement of bad parking. Thank you.
Yeah, I think my point was really around the health and safety issue aspect of mud, especially in the wet weather. We have recently been dragged down to park and people have fallen over on those. But it's Councillor Hammond.
Yeah, it's a general question really. It's when they come and patch, and I mean patch a piece of road in, and it's not up to standard, does it cost the council more money to keep bringing them back, or is it part of their contract that they can come back until it's rectified?
Councillor Hammond, I chose not to speak about this evening because we've got Councillor Roach here and it's very much within his district. I have been involved in this, but I'm happy to defer that question to Councillor Roach when he gives his report. But by all means, do ask that again if you don't feel that that's been answered. Thank you.
Councillor Thomas?
Yeah, only that I'm not certain what you're referring to when parking on verges, but if there are double lines or restricted lines like zigzags and you park inside those, not on them, you are still committing an offence up to the edge line of the highways. West Suffolk have said to me outside Western School, oh, it's not our land, so we can't enforce it. But it's highways land, so you are enforcing it. So I have gone back to them and told them their life story and said, you need to get your officers down there. CPE has been worse than useless in the last few months. They're virtually non-existent in this town now. And that's why next month, as I said in my report, I'm going to be asking for statistics and I will be publishing them to the press, like I did last time. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Bill Lang. Looking on the mapping thing we have on West Suffolk, it doesn't seem to be adopted by anybody. Anyway, but to ask Councillor Roach if you'd like to make a report.
Evening, everyone. I'll start with the first one at the end of the room, which was Sterner Arches, Brunswick Road, that mess that was done at the weekend. So they had a full night closure, so they said to me about we're putting full night closure on to do the patching. So I was assuming as they were going to have it shut all night, that it would be a decent job. Unfortunately, Saturday morning when we looked at it, it was already starting to fail in places, and they hadn't done all of it. So I know Councillor Mason straight away Saturday morning wrote to Highways, I've written to Highways, we've had a response from the Cabinet member, and the latest I've had is at 4 o'clock is that they're going to get them back to do it again. So the asset team have spoken to Milestone, who accept that the repairs fall short of the standards, and they're going to take that up and bring them back to do it. And they're telling us that they're going to do a proper job in June. Well, I've already said back to the Cabinet member for Highways, that's not acceptable, because any patching that they do, as soon as they do it, if they've not done a proper job, those arctics, as they come around the corner, will scrub that surface out. So it needs a proper engineering fix for that particular junction. So that's where we're at. So we're pushing Highways to come back, because June's just not good enough. We've seen already within 3 days, a lot of that surface is gone, and they didn't mark the mini roundabouts. None of the white markings are done, so you can't actually tell it's a roundabout at all. So that's that one. In terms of other councils, Council Mason's covered pretty much everything from the counties at the moment. In terms of those estate roads, I've been told on the east side on my patch that Chalkston is still going to be, he's still on the list, and Milford is still on the list for being fully done. Most of those on the top end of Chalkston, all those side roads have been done. We've been really successful getting those done when they told me that they couldn't be, but we've got that done. And we've been working to get Nowton Road and some of the others on Glen's surface. Really difficult with the way that they allocate what a defect is on a road. So there's other bits and pieces going on with some street lighting, and we're trying to get those fixed as well. And some of it is not necessarily the street lights that are failing, it's the support structure behind it that's falling down. So we're seeing quite a lot of street lights at the moment that have got numerous faults reported, but that it's not actually the street light, it's the network behind it that they're having trouble with. So we're on top of that, but please just keep shouting if you see stuff that needs doing, and we'll do our best to get it resolved. But it's been quite difficult, and with the take-up of the new contracts for Milestone instead of Kiers, it's been a slow start. So Kiers took their foot off the burner when we were getting to the end of the contract, so they weren't doing that much. And then Milestone have got to pick it up as well. So it's a slow start. But in general, the reports are that Milestone have been doing a better job than Kiers when they've been doing the patches. We're not seeing that here. Happy to take questions or anything else.
So did you want to add to that?
No, I'm sure Councillor Hanman will try to...
Did that answer your question, Councillor Hanman?
Yeah, you say it's not, it doesn't cost any more. Is that what you said?
Well, what I'm saying is each case is slightly different. So for this one, they haven't done it properly, so they come back, and that will be at the contractor's expense. Where we see roads that keep getting faults because it needs a proper job, then counties, highways will end up paying for some of that because it's another redo. So if they do it once and then 3 months, 4 months later it's failed again, then it's a separate job. So in the past with Kiers, there was almost no comeback to the contractor saying you haven't done that properly. With this new one, they're much more proactive in saying that we will do a proper job, and then if it's not, then we'll come back. So it is a new regime. We'll have to see how it works. But in general, the county ends up paying twice for the same repair as it was. But we're trying to stop that.
Yeah. Can I come back?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's so unfair. It's it's so unfair not only to the council but to the taxpayer. Really. And the council's monies are being taken, cut back, if you like, all over the place, everywhere. All councils, not just Suffolk County Council, all councils, obviously not the town council. But yeah, and to pay out like that, and this is not the only one that's gone wrong. There's quite a few in Haverhill that have been patched up, and then a couple of months later, it goes back to square one again. So it's just unfair, really. Thank you very much, Councillor.
We should see those repairs lasting on because it's a different company doing it. So they should be best enough to work.
Councillor Burns.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the fact they weren't there in the morning, they actually finished at 10 o'clock at night, gone home. I mean, I thought it was originally rain, because I understood they were going to resurface the road, not just patch it. And there's no point patching it, they put white lines on top of potholes. But I'm not being impressed with this new company. At the end of the day, it's all the same workers, it's the same management. There's no difference. They only got rid of about 3 members of staff when they transferred from Kiers to thing. And the old contract with Kiers definitely said that if they made a mistake or whatever you want to call it, they paid for it. But it all depends on what was specified in the first place. If they've done what they were supposed to have done, which is just patch it, then of course they've done their job. Not very well, but I mean, my concern, you mentioned David, about the Chalkstone and everything, is they've been patching Chalkstone Way, Millfields Way, and the same things are coming up again. And this is Milestone who's done this. They haven't done a very good job in the first place. My other big problem, I've noticed it in my regime of walking around town a lot more, is the footpaths are in a terrible state everywhere. A lot of it's caused by vehicles parking on the pavement. I'm not talking about just the high street from out all over the town. You go around the Chalkstone, there's cars parked totally on the pavement, you have to go in the road. The footpath between Sam Ward and New Croft is like a moonscape now. I mean, it just gets half full of water. When it rains, it's half covered with water. I mean, and I'm talking about 3 or 4 inches deep because it's sunk so much. Of course, this is highways again. You report it and, it doesn't meet HBOP. Well, at what point, I understand what HBOP is, obviously, because I always voted against it when I was at the county. because it's far too stringent. But I think we're going to have to start, these people are going to have to start looking at footpaths as well. And you only have to walk down the high street and see all the tripping hazards there now. There might be yellow paint, but what's that going to do for somebody? They should be fixing them there and then. They spent £200,000 in the high street about 3 years ago, and all those paving stones are coming up. We told them at the time they were putting them down wrong, but you know. And I think this is where the management of county council, who manage this contact, really need to get their act together.
Thank you. Councillor Mason.
It's quite a lot to unpick there. Okay, so I can think of many examples of high quality repairs that Milestone have done. But you only need to drive along Withersfield Road, and there are some examples of patching which are very neat and tidy. What happened on Bubstead Road is unusual, and Councillor Roach and myself could not have made our viewpoints stronger on behalf of the Town Council. Interestingly, we didn't get any correspondence from any councillors, and I would encourage, in the collaborative way that we wish to work as a Town Council, that if there are defects, if there is repairs done and they are substandard, certainly if they are in Councillor Roach's district, please do contact him, or if it's in mine and Councillor Sellers' district, you know, it comes with the law to act on your behalf, to try and chase highways to get a result. I've done things before for councillors across the chamber, and I'll happily do that again. I don't receive much correspondence from councillors, and I don't know every path. Although, can I just say, on a particular dodgy path at Greenfields Way, and it's a moonscape as you go up Greenfields Way, I'm pleased to see that that is one of the paths that is going to be receiving treatment. Paths are treated as a lower priority to highways. That is a concern to me, but without HMOP, the council wouldn't be able to fund the repairs it currently funds. It would quickly run out of money, such as the limited funds available for highways. So I don't agree with getting rid of HMOP. All I think we can do is where things are really of a substandard nature, and I'm not talking about the roundabout, all we can do is, as county councillors, and we do, is apply the pressure that we can to get as quick a response as possible. And I know Councillor Roach has done some excellent work in the town, going around trying to identify things to discuss with highways. And indeed, for road surface treatment, that Upper Chalkstone got, where all the top roads got a new tarmac, that was something that you were very much passionate about, because you could see the effect on the community, and I know you've been pushing hard for the Chalkstone, which I'm sure the town councillors and district councillors for that area will be pleased that that work was done. But on these concrete-based roads, I'm afraid they do deteriorate incredibly quickly. Thank you.
Councillor Cox.
Just a question, obviously, as you mentioned things, and the same to Councillor Mason. When we're holding people to account, is there not, and I'm not expecting you to know the answer, is there not a period that we're saying that should last at least 12 months? I mean, if we bought something, we'd expect generally to last 12 months. And I just wondered, is there a set standard to say we would expect it, you know, if we're getting things repaired 3 months' time, that doesn't seem good enough. And that's not holding you to saying it's your fault. I'm just saying, is the county not doing something on that basis?
We would expect repairs to last a reasonable amount of time, but it's not quantifiable because they're subject to all sorts of different variations. So weather can affect the vehicle movements, can affect them. Yeah, an Arctic going over a repair can scrub out a repair room very, very easily. I don't know if you've watched some of these trailers when they're turning corners, and the wheels are almost stationary, they just scrub out the surface. So the next roundabout, the Kalina roundabout, if you go around there, you'll see that it's like a moonscape where the trucks have actually got, as they go round, they push the tarmac up into a ridge. So it's very difficult to say that a repair will last X amount. They expect them to, but you can't, it's very difficult to quantify. I'm not sure that we've actually got anything that says it should last X, Y, or Z.
Why I ask, obviously, it's a fair point, and again, it just seems, so can I
that if the repairs need to be repaired in 3 months' time, were they not considered that these are the things that are likely to happen? And you know, if you was to go to a motorway, and I know it's different, you know, and if you was going to have to repair those things on a regular basis, it'd be a huge problem. And I'm sure there are repairs constantly, but it just seems stunning to me. And it's not a criticism of anybody here. Just I find it stunning that that's the language they use. That there's no more closer. And I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, do you mind if I come in on this?
I was going to call in Councillor Crenny first, aren't we?
I wanted to...
Is it related to what's been said? Yeah, okay, carry on.
Okay, so there are two sorts of crews. Obviously there's the pothole crews, which are much more mobile and can get around the county at quite short periods of time to do repair jobs. The surfacing crews are an entirely different set of crews. And obviously we would want those surfacing crews to come down and resurface that junction sooner rather than later. That's not going to happen because there's only so many surfacing crews that are busy on a programme of work across Suffolk. So wherever you are in Suffolk, you're likely going to have the patching crews maintaining roads until it gets to a point where then that programme of works for resurfacing then takes place.
Yeah, no, that's what thank you.
I do rubberise.
Thank you. Councillor Crenny.
Yeah, I was going to say about the reporting of things. See, I shouldn't need to email you about issues. You know, we have the highways reporting tool. I log everything on there. I've logged a load of potholes over the weekend. You know, there's a reasonable expectation that if you do that and do what the county asks you to do, that they should come out in a reasonable amount of time and rectify the issue. It's a bit like the high street. All those slabs are on the highways reporting tool, yet they come out, put a bit of yellow paint on them and seem to forget about them. We've walked the high street with highways officers, years ago. It's a well-known issue. They've done nothing? No. I don't see the need for this, to keep following stuff up all the time. It should just be done. It gets silly, especially when we're logging things in the way that the county want. It's going straight to the highways team. So I suppose the thing is, why aren't they doing anything about it?
Can I try and answer that? I think you're right, and I think anybody can use a highway reporting tool to log for. I think where we can help as county councils is if you see the same thing coming up or it's not getting done, then we can try and influence county level or the senior management of highways to try and intervene in that. So I think that's where we can help. I'm not saying it will always be successful, but that's where we can help. If you get frustrated about, I'll put it on the highways tool and nothing's been done, or they just put the yellow lines around it and it's still got the yellow lines around it. So I think that's where we can help, is if you see things that you think should have been done already, or as we know sometimes happens, it goes on the reporting tool, you reported it, you look on it again, they've cleared the fault, but the fault's still there. That we know that happens. That's when we can be more useful to come back and say we can try and intervene.
It's very short. Councillor Roach and myself have both agreed that that junction is going to continue to cause problems by the nature of the way that lorries use it. When the relief road finally gets built and is opened up, Highways have already agreed to start discussions about the possibility of looking at the vehicle movements around the town. And Councillor Roach and myself are both in favour of a 7.5 tonne limit on that particular junction. Something needs to be done because with the way that vehicles use that, it will always scuff up. But we will wait for those discussions at the appropriate time.
Thank you.
Very quickly,
Just a quick mention about
you might want to bring it to a close. So I know, in relation to what Councillor Mason said, I know Tony tried to do that some years ago, didn't it, 7.5 time back. But we've had that conversation on highways, and when we would possibly have the ability to look at a gyratory system for lorries when we get the new relief road done. So how we do that, I don't know, but Highways have actually come back and said, yes, let's talk about that once we get the relief road done. So I think there are some opportunities that we can look at, and that may have the benefit of keeping large vehicles outside of town centres as well. So we'll look at that, but it's a little way off, but it's something we are looking at.
Councillor Andre.
I'm persuaded that our councils are doing as much as they possibly can to get these things improved. What I'm not persuaded is that you're pursuing the right things. The problem here isn't money, it isn't potholes, it isn't lorries. It's poor work being carried out, poorly specified and not checked subsequently. Could I urge our councillors to pursue highways to specify properly and check the work after it's done? There is no way that job at Sturmer could have been properly specified and properly inspected and be in the condition it was on Saturday morning.
True.
Mason, last.
If I could take your sentiment and your frustration and your anger and show you the email that I sent, please be reassured that I'm communicating and chasing to the very highest level my frustrations. I'm not willing, obviously, to make those emails public. Councillor Roach has seen them, and believe me, we took it to the very highest level, and I expect a much better service than what we got. So be under no illusions. That is something that we are both very passionate about and most frustrated with in this particular instance.
Thank you. Okay, so move on then to 7C, Assistant Councillors' reports. Obviously, we've had Councillor Mason's report already. That's all rolled into one. Councillor Mason, yeah. Any other councillors like to make a report? I mean, for myself, a lot of the things that I'm getting are pretty much what's already been spoken for by the council, county councillors. So definitely a lot of crossover there. Councillor Brown.
Yeah, just saying normal sort of stuff over the last month, but there's one interesting thing. I did attend, and it was a consultation around devolution. So it sort of, this crosses over with Suffolk County Council as well. That's a very interesting meeting. Well, the actual consultation, I think, goes live today. It went live today, 10 weeks. But it's quite interesting now. I think there's about 60 councillors there from all different parties across the district, and there did not seem to be very much support. I was quite surprised. Well, in a way I wasn't surprised, because it's, to me myself, it doesn't really make sense. It seems to be not a lot of money for a huge amount of extra responsibility at the council. There are opportunities, but to be fair, if we've been funded the same as we had been 10 years ago, this is the money that's being offered pales into significance. But yeah, and the other main thing that really sort of concerned me was that I think on the same day as the PCC election, there's going to be an election for the leader of Suffolk County Council. So we could potentially have a council that's got a majority, say, Conservatives, with potentially a Liberal or a Labour leader. And I find that could be, you know, it's going to be a bit of a push and pull you, I think, yeah, potentially. So it's something to look out for. I just want to highlight that the consultation started today. It could have a dramatic effect on the future of the county. I think everyone needs to sort of make their thoughts known. Yeah, thank you.
I think it's been election on 2nd of May, is it? 4th, is it? That is for PCC.
And the, is it the 2nd May?
Yeah, the consultation will be finished. It's 10 weeks.
Yeah, I know, but it's actually during the consultation period, the leadership election.
That's been postponed.
Oh, it's been postponed, is it? Sorry, I'm reading from the Suffolk County Council.
Okay.
I couldn't make sense of it.
Yeah, as you say, it's all like basically £500 million over a 30-year period. So
yeah.
Probably £16 million a year. It's not index linked.
No.
Yeah. So, anyway, Councillor Phillips.
Just only to ask Councillor Brown, where would we find that consultation?
Suffolk County Council, it's on their website. They've got quite a lot of information on there. There's PDF, etc., etc. I was only looking at it yesterday. That's why I was quite surprised that the leadership has been postponed, because it actually got this off there yesterday and it said it's on the.
Only that I wanted to do my report as well. Just to add to it very quickly, and to do with the police as well, I did attend the police accountability meeting, but I didn't put it on the report because I really didn't have interest in it. Doing something else at the same time, so you can see how interested I was.
Yeah, that meeting Tony was talking about was online meetings, actually a whole of the counties, which wasn't just our districts. East Suffolk and Mid Suffolk, all the other Avon and whatever. So, and the views were pretty much the same across the piece. Councillor Smith.
I was just going to mention that I went on a state walk, the parkway, on the parkway area, during half term. So it's not to make anyone, which is handy. They did say they were looking at West Suffolk business to look at the put some more dog bins in, or more general bins, the ones that take dog bags as well as the others, along the bit that goes along with the Liverpool Road. That's into Parkway Estate, and we've got that bit going.
In Cambridge Way.
Cambridge Way, yeah. Because there are people leaving their bags and things like that, so that's one of the things they looked at. There was only a couple of people from the public turned up, so there didn't seem to be that many issues. The only other thing is pathways and seeing who owns that bit of land, and we were able to look on the iPad, and it's very bad at times, so it's quite successful from my perspective.
Weather didn't help, did it?
It was pouring rain, yeah. So probably that's why not many people came out either. I know there was about 200, I think. Would you? No. Thank you.
I'll just add to that.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
This Thursday, there's an equivalent one on Chalkstones. Which I guess you'll probably go to now, I don't know.
Yeah.
One Haverhill will be this moment.
Yeah, I can't get to I can't get to that one. I can get to the Birdsday one.
So there's one that started at 10 o'clock from Strasbourg Square. I've had to go at Haverhill because the Clement one apparently wasn't very well advertised. A load of West Suffolk officers knew nothing about it about 12 hours before. So they've got it, but so that starts at 10 o'clock about, that's around the Chalkstone Estate. And you like Bird Estate a month later.
Yeah, these estate walks seem to be a bit hit and miss, and the one on Clement's a month or so ago was advertised at 1 o'clock and they didn't turn until 3 o'clock. Because they let everybody know, apart from the people that mattered to that. Yeah, so that's what, do you want to have a short town? No, that's what, okay. Yes, questions? No, thank you very much. 7E then is for members of the public to welcome to make a statement or put questions at this time. So, that was like a no, thank you. Item 8 then is a report on the visit to the EEAST Operations Control in Norwich. Councillor Brown and the COP and providing verbal updates on their visit. Mr. Councillor Sinstrom is now in February 2024. So, who's the lead on this? Councillor Brown
I can do something to say here. To be honest, Councillor Sinstrom wrote some questions here, which I've got. If you don't have a copy, and if there's anything you wanted to say, yes.
Yes, I also wrote a report. I don't think we ended up working our way through this list of questions particularly. We were just freewheeling. I did prepare a load of questions. We were exposed to quite high intensity exposure to the control room, which was very interesting. And my impression was that we were kind of fobbed off when it came down to where's our data. Our data has disappeared from the website. You know, the data that Tony and Maureen, I think, had to fight for really hard to get. You know, it's routinely, automatically, I don't think it requires any great labour by anyone, it just automatically appeared, monthly statistics on the website just quietly disappeared because they revamped the website. And so they destroyed the old web page before the new one took over.
My take on the visit is the staff at the ambulance hub control centre, doing an absolutely amazing job, really are. And to be fair, every part but the ambulance service is doing a fantastic job. It seems to me to be around resources. They've only got limited resources and they're struggling. They've got they've got issues, i.e. that we identify as that people seem to be calling the ambulances or things that they never called ambulances before. The ambulance crews haven't got people with mental health issues, etc., which is putting more of the workload onto the ambulance crews. They've got a model whereas, okay, we could start with 3 ambulances down in the Haverhill ambulance station, first thing in the morning, but that could be the only time that they're there, is that they go out and they seem to gravitate, which is not surprising, to the hospitals. So sometimes they have issues around unloading patients because hospitals are busy, and also while they're there, they're getting sent on other, because they're Addenbrooke's, there's other calls in Cambridge, they can go and hoover them up. That's why you invariably see, as you're going out of town, if an ambulance is on blue lights, it's coming towards the town, because generally we haven't, unfortunately, got the ambulance in town. And we had that rapid response vehicle to sort of help with that situation. And we fought hard, Maureen, myself and others, fought hard to get that back. We got it back. And then arbitrarily it went again. And that's what we're trying to make the case for that, to at least that to come back. Because Haverhill's in a position, and some of the figures that we have got, is that it takes twice the national average to get an ambulance to see someone in Haverhill, which then you've got to then get them from Haverhill to Addenbrooke's or West Suffolk. There's also, as we found out the other day, there's issues with West Suffolk Hospital. They've got some of the area concrete slabs there, so they've only got a limited capacity there, so it's putting more pressure onto Addenbrooke's. Also, the ambulance services suffer with, we've got highly trained paramedics at their training, but it's an international certificate that they pass apparently, so once they've passed it, they can go and work anywhere abroad. I think they're saying that they lost 5 to New Zealand, so 5 highly trained paramedics. Because of the workload here, they can go and work in New Zealand. Why wouldn't you? Unfortunately, so we're losing stuff like that. There's also an issue around driving licences. The new driving licences do not, what they're saying around C1?
So it's C1, so you need a C1 to drive an ambulance. But if you took your test after about 1990, you don't have C1 on your licence. You have to get it. So they don't, at the moment, have any smaller ambulances that were B1 licence. So you've kind of got a demographic problem there, that there's going to be less and less people with a C1 licence. So changing. Well, they have to train people at the same time.
And the ambulances obviously carry more equipment now, so it's pushing heavier. So it's a double whammy, and as well, we was told that they moved on block to fit ambulances, and they haven't been as reliable as they can. So they're now looking to change to 2 different brands. One's an MA, German, and MAN, and something else. So they're hoping that that will make things, because they're actually at some stages they've actually got paramedics without hands, because they've broken down what they need services, etc. So we fully told what the issues are, but as regarding Haverhill, we've just got to keep the pressure on to try and get our fair share, because we are behind the curve. Similar towns to what Haverhill are getting much quicker response time. And that's what we need to be really working on. One of the ideas that was tried a while ago was in Suffolk, that I see it's working in the Wales County Council a few years ago, was actually fire brigade were being used as first responders, and that seemed to work very well. But apparently, because of something to do with the units, you don't quote me 100% on this, it was something to do with working practices or whatever, that service or that ability for the fire service to act as first responders was no longer carried out. Now, speak to the ambulance people, they said that would be, you know, it's a great resource to have back. You know, you've got fully trained fire people that can actually help out as first responders, and also something that we possibly need to do as a town is to try and help Haverhill first responders, yeah, because that's a great, you know, resource. We're trying to, hopefully we're going to look into exactly, you know, what sort of service they can provide. I know a few years ago they were very, very prevalent, and I don't know if COVID has had some sort of effect or not, but we need to look into, you know, they need any assistance or whatever. But I say, they're the issues, that's what we picked up at the meeting, and we'll hopefully carry on moving forward. And, you know, and one of the, you know, lacking points is that, you know, at the beginning of this, a year or so ago, we had the support of our MP. I have actually emailed our MP in the intervening period and not even had a reply back on this subject. So, you know, we really need your MP, you know, working 100% behind you. You know. Yeah. Thank you.
So the data that's on missing, is that stopping us from making an accurate comparison with other areas? You said that we don't get the same service like areas.
The data that we had up till last year and a bit into after that, we've got this, and they said that we had a special case for us, we put it on the website where we could access it. That's disappeared. We asked, Terry Hicks, the guy, could have been more helpful up there. I mean, there was great people, but yeah, I think they're in between a rock and a hard place. And Alan made a specific point up there asking if they could, you know, make sure that was put back on there. And as to date, it hasn't. No.
Well, I haven't checked, to be fair. The other thing they asked for was what was the outcome of the meeting that we had a year ago?
Yeah.
Because the immediate meeting that was planned for May, I think it was, this time last year, didn't happen. But I would have thought we would have got a letter telling us something, but we never did. So.
But one of the actions, you know, is definitely, you know, a step. Hopefully, you know, David, Joe's here. Is potentially, could you sort of ask at the county to see, you know, around the fire service, you know, what's the actual roadblock to, you know, them acting? They did do it at one time. Yeah.
So. I'll come in a minute. I think Colin wants to say something first.
Yeah, so, well done. That was, you managed to tick all the boxes there. That was well remembered. I thought you must be. There was just one thing that wasn't covered by Councillor Brown and Councillor Stinchcombe, and that was, it kind of relates to the question of our ambulances kind of gradually migrating to Addenbrooke's Hospital, because there simply aren't enough ambulances. By the time they're able to transfer their patient and they leave, they're immediately on call. And of course, it's actually a priority thing. If a priority 1 call comes in, any ambulance going in priority 2 will be turned towards the priority 1. And of course, with Cambridge having such a larger population, they're going to have more priority 1s coming all the time. So every time an ambulance tries to head to Haverhill to a priority 2 call, it will get turned away. Linked to that is that Haverhill's nominated hospital is Addenbrooke's. We are in Cambridge as far as the East England Ambulance Service, so not Suffolk. So our ambulances will not go to West Suffolk, even if there is a fairly long queue at Addenbrooke's. If Addenbrooke's do not feel that it's an emergency and they can cope with whatever length of queue of ambulances they can cope with, they will not declare an emergency and ask for ambulances to be diverted elsewhere. That is a kind of a top level decision. So you could have a situation where West Suffolk happens to be not so busy, and it would be quicker for an ambulance to take somebody in terms of from picking somebody up to admission as opposed to arriving at the door or in the car park of the hospital, it could be quicker to be admitted to West Suffolk. But that's not where the ambulances will go. So one of the things was a dynamic system that would allow ambulances from Haverhill to go to the hospital that people could get into quickest, as well as potentially people getting seen faster and releasing ambulances faster. It also would have the effect of actually slightly demagnetising Addenbrooke's, because some of our ambulances would be in West Suffolk, and therefore the priority 1 calls would probably not be dragging those ambulances past Haverhill, because the ambulance is now close to Haverhill. So that was the one other thing in terms, but at the end of the day, there's not enough ambulances to go around, and the whole system is under huge demand. But everything that other councillors have said, just that one thing, just to add on to that.
Okay. Maybe I'll speak. I'm going to take this in order because of people in the waiting patiently. Okay, so Councillor Mason, please.
Thank you. Just a couple of observations. I'm very proud that my daughter Mia is a fully qualified paramedic at the age of 21. She did her C1 licence, which was paid for by the ambulance service, and she has her blue light licence as well. She's attended in Haverhill. She's based in Huntingdon. She's been called out to Luton, and then from Luton to Watford, and then from Watford to Edmonton or London. And her base is in Huntingdon. She does a remarkable job. My concerns are the quantity of mental health issues that the ambulance services seem to be facing. And unfortunately, category 1s are not always category 1s. And sometimes category 2s are category 1s. And there's quite a lot of frustration sometimes that the coding system can be misleading. And but what I would say is the ambulance services stretch. They are training a lot of new paramedics, and new vans are coming on tap, but we're starting at a low base.
Councillor Cox.
There's a few things that may not necessarily be relevant, but I've just had to go through my own experience, as a number of you will be aware. And over 3 times we had quite poor responses, and we're only up the road in Housted. I just wonder whether there's any worth in us trying to look at working with Housted to muster. I don't know what, and I haven't managed to time quite yet to speak to them, but I will do and see if they're realising how bad the issues in the 3 ambulance collections which were not classed as priority. It was the 3rd one down, whatever that's called. But it took, one took 12 hours, one took 15 hours, and the other took 2 hours. When we got to the hospital, based on somebody did just mention it, there must have been close at various stages, 20 to 30 ambulances there. And so if you're thinking, well, why you can't get an ambulance, is because they're all stuck in the hospital waiting to be checked in. And it was stunning, and this was at Colchester's Hospital, the corridors full of paramedics and patients waiting to be checked in. And they couldn't leave their patients until they'd had you're now checked in. So we're talking 20 to 30 ambulance crews stuck, can't do anything. So when we're saying there's not a response, and we're still talking about the same ambulance service, you know, and there were people coming from Ipswich and coming from Ayrshire, like Joe was just saying, we're going to a Council Mason behind his daughter. So I was stunned at how bad that was. And if we're not getting ambulance, that system has to change. And as far as I was aware, and I can't remember the exact wording, and the reason that they were there, it was something to do with fudging the figures that they've got to hospital, and it was affecting the way it was making one figure, and I wish I could remember what one of them said. It was affecting this particular figure, and that's why they were all waiting there, and it was shown as though things had improved, and they weren't necessarily improving. So my experiences briefly and showing it isn't just us, obviously, interesting. And another thing that I will say, and this is talking to people who work on the ambulance service, is that their preferences were Addenbrooke's. We don't want to take people to West Suffolk anyway. So the mindset for me was all wrong as well, because you've just got this thing of, right, well, that's where, if ambulance workers are also thinking, we just want to go to Addenbrooke's, it's also overloading the circuit, even if the system is saying, to Albrook, so it's obviously a system that needs to be looked at. And I've just had a comment as well, and I can't remember, we have a right for a response vehicle, and does anybody know what happened to that?
Yes.
Councillor Brown?
Yes.
You went to Cambridge.
Okay, good. You may, I think you said that you did mention that.
Yeah, it, you know, as a non-expense, you know, you can't sort of let people into the hospital emergency because there are people sitting in beds waiting to go to the ward. They can't go onto the ward because they won't be discharged. It's a vicious circle. Anyway, Councillor Burns.
Yeah, I think, well, Addenbrooke's obviously is the major trauma centre, so it's easy to just take them to the nearest place where they know they can cover virtually everything. West Suffolk is very good, you know, having experienced them, not in A&E, I have to say. I think one thing I would say is, have a look at the ambulance TV programme. The latest episode is all about people, ambulance service being held up at hospitals by basically people not being discharged. I think that's a really good, the latest episode was really good. Going on to first responders very quickly, Keith Jesson and his team do a brilliant job, still do a brilliant job around town. Any help we can give them, I think sometimes they're more actually making sure they've got funding rather than necessarily the people. And finally, the fire brigade, when we had that process here, when they would go out, but the problem with the fire brigade was they went out on a full-blown fire engine with firemen in it. There was no quick response vehicle or anything like that. They are supposed to be introducing them around the county. So they would do a call out for people, wait for those 5 people. Well, they may just wait for the ambulance sometimes because it takes that long sometimes to get everyone together. And equally, you might have 7 people, 8 people turn up. And of course, everyone who turns up, there's a charge because they all put claims in for their time. So it's a great idea because a lot of them are trained in basic medical side of things, but they need to think about how you're going to get there, not a full-blown thing. I mean, obviously in America they do it all the time, you know, the fire brigade do it, but we don't have the same system. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Roach first.
Thank you for your indulgence, Mr. Mayor, for allowing me to speak outside of the... right, I can answer the one about the withdrawal of the fire brigade. So that was, for one of my sins, I sit on the fire brigade liaison committee between management and the unions. The fire brigade system was withdrawn because the union stopped its members from doing it because they said, if you're going to do that, we want more money. And it was as simple as that. The firemen were told you can't do it by their union. So that's why it was stopped. Makes no sense. It did work. I know it worked well. As far as ambulances and whatever, I was in Haverhill Friday night and it was rammed. They were queuing out of the door. It was in A&E. There were ambulances queuing out, and they just can't get that flow. So the system is fundamentally broken. And it's not just here. My stepson's senior manager for Yorkshire Ambulance, and they have the same problem. Yeah, he had a crew in Hull, and they changed the crew over 3 times because they were sitting over 24 hours trying to get into the Hull Infirmary. So they were actually swapping the crews over because they can't discharge the patient. So it's not just us. So it does need a rethink. But as far as our coverage here, we don't get enough considering the size of the town and what we do need a proper job. And Councillor Brown's right, we do need support from our MP, who seems to be sadly lacking at the moment.
Councillor Jones.
Thank you. So I'll have to slightly correct Councillor Roach on the bit about the firefighters. I lived with an uncle firefighter in Haverhill for a very long time during when that thing was actually withdrawn. And it's not quite as simple as the union just saying, oh, we don't want you to do it because you need more. Actually, the on-call firefighters in Haverhill are trained in very basic first aid. They are not equipped to deal with a lot of the calls they're sent out to do, and it was actually causing a lot of problems with danger and also trauma and mental health for the firefighters. It was a huge, massive issue where basically the firefighters wanted more training and they wanted more support, because they were being sent to these very extreme circumstances that they weren't actually equipped at all to deal with. They have the most basic first aid training. So while I agree that it would be nice to have them as, being able to be first responders in that sense, they would need more training, they would need more support, they would need more mental health support. And to be fair, they probably, as a result of all that, would need more money. Here we have on-call firefighters. They're being beeped, getting out of bed in the middle of the night to go and deal with fires. If they're being called out twice as much because they're also being beeped to get out of bed and deal with, mental health issues as well, equally, that they're doing two jobs really for the price of one. So I do think it is something that we should try and encourage them to bring back, but I think we should be very aware of the fact, very sensitive to the fact that it was actually something that the firefighters hated doing, and things would need to change. We couldn't just ask them to start doing it again, because there was a good reason they stopped doing it. The mental health crisis, the fact that obviously people are calling ambulances for mental health, we have huge problems with the fact that we have very few mental health crisis workers in Haverhill. We have some amazing mental health teams, various teams that you all know about, doing amazing work, but crisis, most of them aren't crisis trained, and what they're all told to do in that situation, their training tells them, if somebody comes to you in crisis, you sit with them and you call an ambulance. That is their procedure, that's their protocol. So again, we need a mental health crisis in Haverhill. We need, and obviously, who's going to pay for that? I don't know, but that is what we need if we want to take that pressure off the ambulances. And regarding the fact that they're queuing at A&E, they are. I have a few friends who work in A&E who are always talking about the 14, 20, 30 ambulances queuing outside. But I think the issue with us here is that because we're in, I believe, the bottom 5% of the population distance to, as in the furthest distance, we're in the top 5% furthest travel time to a hospital. It means that we're at greater risk here, even if there were ambulances free. If it takes them so long to get to us and then takes us so long to get back to hospital, the fact is that we need something tethered here because of the distance, regardless of the pressures on the system as a whole. It's worse, it's always going to be worse for us in that situation.
That's Brooks.
Just on the fire service, David's right, it was the FPU that got span in the works. What was I going to say? Ambulances, I don't know if Alan or Tony had a question. We're talking as if the ambulance service is always flat out, and I appreciate it, it might always be flat out. But on a quiet day or a quiet evening, standby, has Haverhill got an allocation on standby?
It's got a fairly high priority. It's number 3 of, I don't know, a dozen standby points. So they don't get here because they're called away. It is flat out all the time. It was flat out all the time we were.
And is Clare still a standby?
No, because this is South Cambs.
Right.
Okay, and we are dumped in with South Cambs and our surrounding parishes, but further to the east, I don't know what that comes under.
So you're talking as if there's hardly any standby?
No, that's from what they were saying, that it didn't seem to be, they just seem to be running pretty hot all the time.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, thank you.
So what do you see as the next steps then into progressing this?
Well, we need to make sure we've got the statistics, because it's all about statistics at the end of the day. Is that that's the thing that alerted us to what was going on. Is that as I said before, it seemed to be that C1 and C2 we were sometimes double the response time for similar towns the size of Haverhill in our area. So there seems to be that gap, and it's trying to get that gap filled. So it's even across the towns. We all would understand that if all the towns of similar size and demographics had a similar sort of response time, but obviously our geographic position means that we need that tethered armed rapid response vehicle to fill that gap, and that's what we kept making a case for. So we need to, first stage, fight for that. We need to make sure whatever the election is, whoever is the MP is totally on side with this because it's critical to the residents of Haverhill. Yeah, this is, I'm not trying to over-dramatise it, this is life and death. You've got a little child choking or something like that. I mean, I see, when I was over in Norwich, I was listening, they asked if I'm listening on the calls and whatever, and there was a little 18-month child with blood coming out of its nose, mouth, mum with 2 other children trying to cope with that going on. Because she happened to be in Norwich, the ambulance was there in 8 minutes. If that was Haverhill, there's potential that could have been 20 minutes. While this was going on, she disappeared off the phone for a minute because the other child had fallen and hurt itself upstairs. So, this, it really brought it home to me. I was aware of what was going on anyway, but that was just a case I had to listen into. And you think, in our town, it's not getting the response time most of the time in 8 minutes. It's far, far in excess of that. And it's young people, elderly people that could potentially be dying, or if you've got a stroke, have life-changing events happen because they haven't had an ambulance and the right response. So, it's something that is absolutely critical that we try and sort out. I know we're the town council, but we're a voice for the residents, and I think we need to try and use that voice to try and get it changed.
So we know what, but it's how are we going to get it?
We've just got to keep, try and use all the resources they can. Our MP, our county councillors, district council. I did write to the chair of Health Scrutiny. I didn't even get a response, to highlighting the issue. And that's what, it's Haverhill residents don't know how you vote or anything like that. It's people's lives that count, and we're not getting the same service as other towns of similar size, and we need to get that addressed.
Thank you, Councillor.
I think ultimately we're going to have to shame them. We're going to have to be appearing in the press and on TV and saying how it is, really, and we're protected for the kind of reasons that we're saying. In the short term, though, we could have a letter to the CEO saying, it's Terry, has said he would look, or we could, I suppose, email him, but that's lumbering him. I think we should go higher and say, what about a response to or some news of the review that was going to be carried out January 2023? No, hang on, it was February, wasn't it? After February 2023, a review was going to be carried out. We never got to come back to a meeting, unfortunately. What was the outcome? They probably obviously decided not to do anything, but why? I suppose the question is why? Why has nothing changed? It's not up to us to work out a solution, it's up to them to come up with a solution. But could we please have some news, and could we please have our data back? Would be a start.
Yeah, thank you very much for that report, very long. Sorry, Councillor Furman.
You said we had an incident in the market Friday, one of our customers had a stroke, quite bad. I phoned the ambulance, etc. After half hour, I phoned it again, and they sent a full fire crew down to the market square, took her out, laid on the floor, looked after her, boom, lovely job. They said picked up, saved her from further damage. And the ambulance was about an hour, but the fire brigade come with a full crew.
I think they've got that system in Cambridgeshire where
crew,
we have But as Laura said, you've got to provide the proper training. It's got to be proper resource. You can't just expect people that jumping in and out, looking after people to go and do exactly the same thing for ambulances.
Councillor Hammond.
Yeah, I've heard all the discussion, and obviously we've got a crisis in Haverhill by what Councillor Brown, what Councillor Stitchman said. Is there a way that we can, I'm sure Colin's been taking quite a lot of notes, is there any way that we as a town council, and I propose this, write to the CEO of the Eastern Region Ambulance Trust on the certain questions we want answered, really?
I think that's what Roosevelt suggested we do anyway, but thank you for that proposal. So let's open on a second for that then. Does anybody else want to make any more comments? If not, and if you're happy with that, we've got a proposal that we write to the CEO with our concerns. So all those in favour? Yeah, that's unanimous. So what needs to be?
Yes, I've been happy to take copious notes, thank you. Just remind people that the argument for the tethered vehicle only works if there's spare capacity. At the end of the day, if you take the example of the child choking, a tethered vehicle, if that child is in Cambridge, the tethered vehicle in Haverhill, what we're asking is it does not respond. We're asking that they sit on their hands because it's not a Haverhill call, and that's a Cambridge problem, not a Haverhill problem. And that is obviously an ethical issue which East will struggle to accept, that they're prepared to have a tethered vehicle sit here in case somebody needs it, when somebody actually does need it. So I think that's going to be a very difficult ask.
The way one has to phrase that, I think, is that you can save more lives if you keep all the ambulances in Cambridge. But we're not interested in only maximising. It's important to maximise saving lives, but it's not the only issue. There's got to be some sort of equality of access to emergency treatment.
And as you said at the meeting, that's the ethical question.
Yeah, yeah. We see that it's an ethical question, but it's all down to, in fact, I had a controller saying to me, you know, it would break her heart if she, you know, when there wasn't, I think she worked going long enough, there had been cases where the tethered vehicle could have come out, but it wasn't going to because it was tethered. You know, it's difficult, but we need access.
So what we say is a reasonable time scale for response.
Just to add, when it comes to the whole sort of, when we're talking about sort of, you know, equality of access or sort of, you know, accessibility, I had to drive my son when he was younger to Addenbrooke's because he couldn't breathe. And when I got there, the hospital told me that if I hadn't driven him, if I called an ambulance, he would have died. I was lucky enough to be able to drive him because I had access to a vehicle. But for a lot of people who are not in that situation, they're probably dead right now. So it is a really huge issue, and it is, you know, yeah, I just wanted to give that a little anecdote.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll move on now. Everyone's happy to the next item, which is grant applications over 2,000, of which there are none. Item 10 is the Mayor's report, which hopefully you would have received that yesterday. You've got no questions? Thank you. I'm happy to answer them if you have. No, good. Moving on quickly. Item 11 is the One Haverhill Partnership. A to receive the report update from the club.
Yeah, we're supposed to be having a board meeting this week. Unfortunately, we've run into some heavy weather with that, so I'm trying to work out a new date. But it looks like the dates that we suggested are not going to work either. So I'm back to the drawing board tomorrow morning to try and come up with a new date for that.
Okay, the Science Festival.
So the Science Festival, the promotion of that has now gone live last week, and hopefully people started seeing that appear on Facebook, etc. and on various notice boards, and our website is live, everything's all booked in. So media are beginning to pick up, and we're sort of kind of booking in where they're going to come to cover various parts of it, sort of a month out from when it starts. But it's all looking really good.
Thank you. Any questions about that?
Yeah, actually, Colin's just saved my skin. I'll be able to attend the Chorleston disabled now. Thank you.
Here we go, thank you. Item 12, financial matters, to authorise the following payment list, totaling £107,213.73. Councillor Bowles, seconder. Councillor Martin, those in favour? Item 13, adoption of committee reports, the planning committee. Minutes held on the 27th of February and the 12th of March. And any recommendations contained there within recommendations. So proposer, seconder, Councillor Cox. All those in favour? Carried. 13B is the local community committee. To adopt the minutes with the meeting held on the 4th of March 2024 and the recommendations contained therein, which is proposed by Councillor Burns, Councillor Page. All those in favour? Carried. And C is to note that the date of the next local community committee has been changed to the 21st of May to avoid conflict with other councils annual meeting. That's just to note. Item 14, action taken under delegated powers. None. Item 15, to receive any urgent correspondence. None. Item 16 is the date of next meeting, which is Monday the 29th of April 2024, commencing at 7 p.m. Last item is closure. Close this meeting.